is up, everybody? It's your boy, Carlos here, better known as Los World. Welcome back to Cafecito Wyo. I know it's been a while, but this is episode 3, and we got today. Caleb here is our first guest that we are going to have on the podcast. It's going to be the first of many, hopefully. We'll talk about a little bit about, Caleb's story, basically what he's been up to, who he is, his thinking, all his stuff. Not somebody, that went to Wyoming per se, but in a way you did. In a way you did go to Wyoming. So yeah, just tell us a little bit about you, Caleb. Who you are, like why are you here?
Yeah, for sure.
What are you doing here?
Caleb, I'm from Miami, Florida. I was born in Orlando, but I basically lived most of my life in Miami.
Okay. Florida kid, guys.
Yes, full grown, as they say. What else worth noting? We could talk about my education later, but knew I wanted to be a teacher from a pretty young age, right? History specifically. Was looking for where to study, kind of worked out for Calvin in terms of scholarships, in terms of the people that I knew that had gone to Calvin.
Right.
I felt I respected them a lot, right? I had a few mentors in my life who both graduated from Calvin, and for that reason I was like, whatever they're doing up there, I want a part of that, right? Yeah. So that's ultimately what brought me there. Graduated, went back to Miami, started working as a teacher, very enjoyable.
Okay.
And now I'm back for my master's. I'm here for another week or so studying for my master's at Calvin University for education. I can't stay away apparently.
So. Oh. Okay, so I like that, bro.
Sure.
I remember actually we'll get into later, but me and Caleb met at my first summer coming out of high school. Obviously I chose to go to Calvin University, and he was I didn't try to. What was your title?
Yeah, so I was an office assistant.
Assistant.
Yeah, but I was always in the dorms.
Yeah, he was trying to be an RA, but
No, I was better than RA. RA was bound by certain regulations. I was above RA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met Caleb. I think we hit it off.
Yeah. I mean, also because I'm from Miami, I feel like I understand the Cuban culture very well. So I felt like I could relate. I think we could relate a lot to each other in that sense.
Yeah. Do you have any Cuban family?
No. Oh, actually, I do. Yeah. I
do.
I have some of my Dominican family married into Cuban, so I have some cousins that are half Cuban Dominican. So
all right.
I'm familiar.
So your background is Dominican?
I'm half Dominican. I'm half Dominican and basically half American. It's Hungarian, Irish, some stuff. So
all right, I like that. But you're from Miami, so
you're
basically 50-50 Cuban.
I feel like I'm mostly Cuban.
It's pretty close. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but Entrada, we'll talk a little bit about it. At Calvin, so really good program. Summer
100%,
program.
100%.
And that's kind of I went there. You were heading into what, your senior year, right?
What do you think?
Or was that your junior?
I think I was heading into my second semester junior year. We could talk about that too, but I did do a lot of dual enrollment, so my case.
So yeah, it was a little bit different. Okay, so basically we're just gonna talk. I guess we'll talk about Calvin first.
Okay,
you mentioned it.
Yeah,
you mentioned it slightly, but why did you pick? You're from Florida.
Yeah, it's a pretty big jump.
It's a big jump going from there.
Yeah.
Normally people come from Michigan, they're leaving.
Exactly.
To go to Florida, not the other way around.
That's true.
So what made you make the jump?
So again, there was a few people in my life that there's one teacher that was the head of the youth group at my church back home, and I just really respected her. I thought she was a great human being. I asked to shadow her a few times at work, and I thought, man, whatever she's doing, I want to do that. But then, of course, I thought, well, how can I replicate that? And so I was like, well, where did she go to school? And so as we talked together and we had these really good conversations, Calvin got brought up multiple times, and she was like, hey, they have their education. Yeah, their education program is very serious. They do an excellent job with that. She said, I'm a history teacher, I teach APs and stuff, and they also promoted me very well for being knowledgeable in history. So that kind of hearing that from someone I respected meant a lot. And then I had some other ties to Calvin that are interesting. Because my father, he's actually a pastor. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know.
I didn't know if you knew that, yeah. So he's part of the CRC, the Christian Reformed Church, and the CRC's base, the base for that denomination is Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Is actually, I think, they're tied to Calvin.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I was aware of Calvin even before I met this mentor. So that, and then some good scholarships, and Entrada, of course, we could talk about in a little bit. That's kind of what brought me over there. And also pressure from my parents to go to a Christian school. Because part of me is like, I could just save so much money though. Like, I got good scholarships, but I was like, I could, save a little bit of money if we just went down the street.
Yep.
To like, I don't know, FIU or something. Like Ford International. But I'm very thankful that my parents did that. Because I think getting away is nice too. I know that everyone has their different preferences.
I didn't get away, guys.
Yeah. I don't want to throw too much shade because like I have a lot of family members that didn't.
I'm still here.
But yeah. That's
good, man. I really like that you like. I think that's a big key. We're talking about like the mentor was basically the person.
Yeah,
that got you there.
That, yeah.
And I feel like I've talked about it in the in the first episode or first one and the second one, where I had mentors, and that's kind of like my path in education.
And we could talk about that because I think that they have a mentor program in Wyoming.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Something we can get into.
That was kind of my my route into education.
Yeah.
Was Mr. Doyle, one of the teachers at Wyoming.
Oh my goodness, he was still there when I was there.
Yeah, he's still there too.
Yeah. Isn't he teach is it English or history?
History. Okay, he's a 10th grade history teacher. So his mentorship and like his push for me to go to Calvin, where his son was at.
Oh really?
And then and I think his wife went there too.
Oh wow.
So he was like, Carlos, you got to go to Calvin. Yeah. You got to go to Calvin. Until it happened.
Yeah.
So, and then you brought up scholarships.
Yeah.
And that was another big thing for me because I didn't think, coming out of Wyoming,
Yeah.
I never thought that being able to go to Calvin was a possibility, right? Because people think about like Calvin and they think about, I'm just put it out there, rich white people, I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, tall.
That's the only, that's the stereotype.
Sure.
It's a stereotype.
I guess in a way we're literal minorities there.
Right. Yeah. No. And that was you bringing up so many things. That was another shift. Going from a place like Wyoming to Calvin University.
Because Wyoming is like it's actually very like we could talk again more about that a little bit. I don't want to give away too much, but for me, I felt really at home there.
Yeah.
Like I was like I can relate to these people, and just because they're very dominantly Hispanic doesn't mean that all Hispanics are the same. But still, I was like I can relate to these people like at a very deep level. I can understand a lot of things they're going through, right? Whether that be immigration, whether that be jobs, whether that be community. I could relate to a lot of that.
Yeah.
So to your point there, I don't think people at Wyoming even see that as a possibility, right? So that's cool that there were teachers though that pushed you. No, it is possible.
Yeah.
It is possible.
No, and then that's really big. The scholarship thing, like I was saying, was again, I don't know if I can go there. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get into the process and you see all these scholarship stuff start rolling in.
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, where am I getting this 5,000? Where am I getting this 3,000?
Yeah.
And then it just starts rolling and then it adds up and then you're like, I'm going there for free.
It's very worth it.
And that was kind of my last, I guess, pin to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Was like, okay, I'm going to a Christian university. I'm going to a great education program. I believe it's ranked top 3 or 4 in the whole state of Michigan for education.
I think it's even higher.
It might be.
I know that
might be
one
or
point,
two.
I know at one point they're number 1 in the Midwest for.
So it might be one.
But there might be some qualifications. It might be like number 1 in the Midwest for like Christian, something like that. But I know that they're like.
It's up there. Okay, the program's very good. The the hiring rate for teachers coming out of Calvin is really
high. Yeah.
I think not just teachers, jobs in general coming out of Calvin's really high.
They do excellent.
So that was all a thing, and then you talk about, it might be 30,000 or whatever. I'm going to be in a lot of debt. I've talked about it. I'm heading into my senior year, and I have zero debt.
Yeah.
For Calvin.
Yeah.
Because I figured
it's a blessing. Yeah, it's a blessing. For sure.
So,
but I think that we can maybe get into this. I know I keep repeating myself a lot, but I think we can. I want to talk to you on the topic of Calvin. Like, what do you think about student debt? Because I think it's a very serious problem across the board, just in terms of not just Christian universities specifically, but just universities.
It's a big issue.
And I agree to an extent that yes, the problem is students don't really know how to spend their money, and they're not doing a great job. Like if you go to, for example, UM, University of Miami, I mean, you know you're getting into. You just know the tuition price is absurd, and unless you're, top of the class, genius, they're not going to really accommodate you in that regard. Like, I have a lot of friends I know that are going to University of Miami, and it's very expensive. It's hurting a lot.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a lot of like talk right now. They're trying to like suspend like a bunch of people's like debt and stuff.
Yeah, or like debt forgiveness.
Debt forgiveness and stuff. Personally, I chose an expensive university, so I knew that there may be some debt, but I wasn't okay with there being debt. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I always made the push, even from my first semester, to take away as much stuff that they were trying to charge me.
Very conscious of that.
Like, I had my parents' insurance, so they were trying to charge me for a bunch of money for insurance.
Yeah,
like, thousands of dollars. I'm like, I'm not living on campus. That took
That's
money.
Probably a whole lot.
The insurance stuff, the meals.
Yeah, you don't have to
the
worry
meal
about
plan.
that.
I don't have to worry about that because I'm here with my parents. So I could have left a meal plan. I could have been paying money for that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I didn't stop with the scholarship that I had. So
even name scholarships.
Yeah, even this year now, I'm still applying for scholarships to get more money on top of what I have. So if you're okay with, I guess, the debt that you put yourself in, and you're I think being a self advocate is a big thing. If you're not going out of your way to lower, the debt that you have.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with everything you're saying. Okay. But I think that can all be true, and simultaneously, the situation, which is just generally so expensive, is ridiculous and is a joke. Yeah. And I think that if you look at education today, because it has an increasingly economic value. For example, if you ask a student, why are you going to school? They say, to get a job, right? And they might say, well, I'm going to school in high school so I can go to college. Well, then why do you want to go to college? To get a job, right? And so I think that this combination of tuition being absurd, right, and people thinking of college purely in terms of job afterwards is already, I think we're starting to feel it, is leading to a drop-off in people going to college. People are looking at the military and saying that's a great option. People are looking at trade school and saying that's a good option. People are looking at family businesses and saying, why? Why go to college, get myself in a whole lot of debt, or put myself through the work of having to struggle to put together these, scholarships and stuff when I could just, inherit the empire or find a job somewhere else or go to trade school for significantly cheaper. So, what do you think about that? I agree. I agree. It could be a human issue in terms of the individual just not, working hard enough to string together scholarships. But do you think to an extent it can also be a systemic issue in the sense that, what are we doing here? We're killing universities.
Right. I think, higher ed has become more of a, I guess, biased in a way, right? Because, you're taking into account, people's grades, right? You're taking into account, the smarter people are obviously going to be able to get more scholarships, go to a better college, all that stuff. You're taking into account, where people are from. Because if you have let's say you have a good community college, for example, here in Grand Rapids, we got, Grand Rapids Community College, and a lot of people just decide to go there because it's a good community college,
basically free, good
education, basically free, and you're still getting a college education. Although the prices have gone through the roof, and
just generally, other private institutions, or even University of Miami, right? So or University of Central Florida, like UCF, or University of Florida as well. All these, even state-run institutions are, I don't know, I think they're putting themselves in a big issue, and I think it's systemic problem there. But
here too, because you got, I don't know the exact numbers or whatever, but I know Michigan is obviously expensive. Michigan State super expensive, and those are state funded schools, where you're having that issue of, having to charge people hundreds of thousands of dollars for them to.
Well, having to. I don't know. Do they have to?
I don't know if I have to.
I don't know. And I think you might be onto something here, because you did mention, you kind of got at this idea that in some ways you could argue that schools replicate social inequalities.
Yeah.
Right? And so a way to prevent people from getting good education is to not give them a whole lot of tuition. right? And say, well, if you want to go to a community college, and that's available for you, but higher education,
Only they
Ivy
can afford it.
Leagues especially, right, which is absurd.
Yeah.
But even, private institutions, it's going to be hard. And again, like, maybe it's a blanket statement. It's just a theory. I just wanted to hear what you think about it. Because, like, look at what we did, right? In the sense that Calvin was very accommodating with giving us a whole lot of scholarships there. So, I don't know. I just want to speculate with you.
I get it. But also, we'll wrap it up with saying, I know a lot of people, some people that went to Calvin for education, same thing as us, and they're like thousands of dollars in debt.
Yeah.
Because they didn't advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Totally. You know what I'm saying? But I think there's also that, like, there's that gray area where it's like, you can bring it down some more.
Yeah.
Like, once you're in there, like, once you accept, I'm not saying, like, you're a high school student deciding to spend all this money. I'm saying, like, once you're at a college, you should, or whatever university you're at, you should always try to knock it a little bit lower.
I agree. I think it can be both and, right? Where it can be people being maybe, I don't know, feeling disincentivized to put scholarships together, and that combined with some systemic issues.
I think there is definitely some stuff. But how do you fix it though?
How do you fix it?
You put a cap.
We don't
really have to discuss it. But
yeah, I guess we can get really political here.
It could be open.
Really political here.
I guess that's an open-ended question. But like,
yeah.
How, like, putting a cap on the cost of a university education?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
government control.
That's government interference.
I know.
I mean,
depends your perspective there. I'll give you the two perspectives.
I don't want to go back to communist Cuba.
Yeah, I'll just give you two perspectives. Yeah. So I think one perspective. Well, I'll give you just something broader first. Yeah. I mean, like, bring it down to, like, capitalism versus socialism. But I think you have to agree as an American that the government does exist as a mediator, right, between the businesses and the workers. You have to agree with that, right? And if you look at history, right, if you look specifically at the progressive era, right, what's going on is there's a lot of reforms that are trying to fix the problems of the Gilded Age, which is like, yes, businesses should have the opportunity to make a lot of money. Maybe you could argue that, right? But not at the expense of the workers, right? Where they're squeezing them dry. There's these huge monopolies, the Rockefellers, right? Carnegie, right? They're squeezing the workers dry. They own everything, right? This, whether it be vertical or horizontal integration, and really giving the worker no opportunity. And that's where you see the government comes down and starts cracking down with these antitrust laws, etc. So with that perspective, I think you can be a capitalist and say, we should have some government interference here. The government should start setting some prices right, or putting caps, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Or maybe even more government subsidies and saying, hey, look, we're going to give you these gifts for university if you agree to lower your tuition. I think that's also reasonable. So that's maybe a capitalist perspective. And I think a socialist could argue, well, the issue here is that it's for profit, and we need to stop doing that. Now you can argue that, well, that'll lead to more problems in the long run. I don't know how political you want to get, but I think both are. It's interesting to distill both perspectives. Yeah.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
That is a deep thing that it's gonna have to get addressed.
It will have to be, because again, it will have to be addressed, or all these big institutions will be dead.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as happening because, money is a crazy incentive, and hey, you don't want to eat yourself.
Right.
Right. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, I like that. All right. So, we're gonna move on. We just, let's see. I mean, we're on the topic, I guess, of some higher education,
Sure.
but you obviously went into education for a reason.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be a history teacher, same as me. I guess we'll start with the education piece. Like, what was your biggest reason for wanting to be a teacher, other than you mentioned your mentor and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what drew you into the field of ed?
Okay. And I think it'd also be maybe interesting to know how that changed, because my perspective on education has changed.
Okay.
And the reason
initially, what drew you?
Yeah. So initially, what drew me in was history. Right. I knew I wanted to do something with history from a very young age. I was drawn to history. It was just a very interesting subject to me. Right. Like learning about the myths, like Theseus and the Minotaur. That just stuck with me.
Yeah.
So learning about Greek mythology, all that stuff. and history as a whole. I was really drawn to that. And so my question became, as I was getting older, now what? History and what, right? How do I make history a career for myself, right? And my mother was a teacher. My father, also kind of a teacher, if you look at it like that. And so I saw the kind of bridge between history and a career as education. But that perspective has changed a lot. So that's ultimately what, and I knew this from like 14 years old. I knew I wanted to be a history teacher from a very young age. So.
Okay. So.
Make sure you get the.
Yeah, no, I was. Okay, so. It just froze up.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
I'll cut this stuff out.
Yeah. And maybe I can ask you like what drew you into. Let me not go there yet, because let's address like how that's changed maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do that. So, cut right here, Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So basically, how has that changed? So that was your at the
initial
beginning.
reasoning.
Right.
Yeah. So again, it was a very content-oriented reason. I loved history, and I just saw a way to do that is education, teaching other people about my love. But this is where things get into Wyoming, is I started to realize, again, I saw history. I thought I wanted to be a history professor. I was like, I get this done, work for a few years, get smarter at history, then boom, move on to becoming a professor. I really just love the subject. But as a student taught in Wyoming, right, as a student teaching at Wyoming, and that just opened my mind up. Because I was educated in homeschool, so I didn't really see the inequalities that existed, right? I was aware that bad things happened, that, there are some issues out there in the world, obviously, but to see that firsthand, and I think this is a fair statement to make, that Wyoming, the students who make up Wyoming, there's a lot of trauma there, right? We could talk about, literal trauma. We could talk about the issues that coming from a poor socioeconomic or worse off socioeconomic location, right? There's a lot of issues. And so I realized that, hey, as I was teaching, I can't be talking to these people about absurdly complex things because that's so relevant to them.
Mm-hmm.
The things that they're dealing with, right? Whether that be, gang violence, whether that be, not having a father at home, whether that be having a child, right? Those things are so much more immediately in front of them than learning about, the Cold War, right? So then for me, something that I realized is, okay, if this is my profession, it can't just be about content. It has to actually be human first. And I was 100% on board with that. At Wyoming, it wasn't just like, oh, I can't teach about all these complex things. I was like, no, this is better, right? Because I'm not just satisfying myself and teaching about things I like, but I'm satisfying humans, right? And building these relationships with students that I still have relationships with these students today, even though I'm back in Miami, right? Where I reach out to them, they reach out to me, and we see how we're doing. And to me, that was just so much more impactful, right? To just be there for them, right? To, I don't know if mentorship is the right word, but just be that figure that can give them some peace and to, build up their literacy. That was a big focus I had, was building up literacy. Teaching them history, but for viewing that through the lens of, I want to be there for you. I'm here for you, right? Whereas you're here to listen to me. So that's and I still hold that perspective today, right? In a school I'm teaching at, a little different, right? A little higher academically, in the sense that I can talk to them about more complex things. But still, I still view my job as fundamentally relationship oriented. That I'm here for people.
Cool.
So, yeah. What do you think of it? Yeah, go ahead with your question, then I want to hear about you as well.
Well, I'll add that I think the big issue with people and their teachers are that they don't have that thinking, right? They don't have teachers who put them first. Teachers who don't think about the student and what the student needs and wants. And just put the content ahead of
themselves too, right?
And themselves.
Like, what's the easiest way to do this? Yeah.
I remember reading this thing probably like a year or so ago. It was talking about it was like a blog, and there was like a bunch of teachers. I think it was on Facebook or something.
Okay.
They were talking about like it was like new like first year teachers or something, and it was like I left education, or I quit being a teacher after 3-4 years because I went into education because I loved writing and English and all that stuff and reading books, and I went
Yeah.
in to be an English teacher,
Yeah.
and I'm doing more babysitting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing more babysitting
Yeah.
than teaching, writing, and English and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I think if you go with the mindset that you're going to be teaching history and you don't go into education, I think if you like history so much, let's say whatever subject it is, education's not really going to be for you.
Yeah.
I think
probably
best
be a researcher, right?
I think you can do so much stuff. You can archaeology, research, and you can do a bunch of other stuff that isn't education. If that's your mindset, that hit like you're a history.
Or I will say this too, there are certain schools in which that's completely acceptable,
Right.
and you can even argue that the students are expecting that, right? If you go
I get
to
it.
these top private schools, I mean,
Where there's
I think
less
you can get-
connection, less.
Yeah, I think you can get away with it. And I think you can use it simultaneously as a stepping stone. But generally, I'd 100% agree with you
Yeah.
that, education is fundamentally human oriented, not content oriented. That's secondary.
Yeah.
And here's something interesting is you said that a lot of teachers fall into this, and I agree with that. And I would make this point too. I would argue that teachers are incentivized to put themselves over the students, right? And we can talk about several factors. Number one, teacher pay, right? Very low.
It's
Very
bad.
low,
It's
right?
bad.
Very low, right? And that's a joke. And I think there's absolutely no reason it's like that. But, this is a little political, but we can see, because I think that we often view our world as irrational. But the minute you start looking at it as rational, it gets very interesting. So, why would you not pay teachers well? If you could afford it, why would you not do that? Right? Instead of thinking, this is stupid, these people are idiots. What if they're geniuses? It's a little, we can talk about that later. But, right, teachers are disincentivized in terms of pay. Teachers are disincentivized in terms of the amount of work. It is a lot of work to be a teacher in the sense that you're grading, you're sending back emails, you're lesson planning, all this stuff, right? So you're already kind of overwhelmed. And then most administrations, I'd say, right, most administrations as a whole are not really there for you. It's actually quite rare for an administration to be there for you and to really support first-year teachers, right? There's a lot of fluffy stuff that you'll see, we do this and we do that, and it's that's not really helping. Right, so I'd say for those reasons, teachers are actually incentivized to put themselves first. Like, what's the easiest lesson plan I can make just to
get through the day?
Get the day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I get
exactly. And simultaneously, generally, there's a pretty good retirement plan. So hey, just stick through it 40 years. Sure, there'll be kids that you meet that you like, but that doesn't matter. Just get through it. Yeah, 100%. And after your 40 years, cash in and you're out.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, but that's such a bad mindset because in the end, after 40 years, you're gonna be 60
Yeah,
years old.
well, and here's another thing.
Cooked.
I agree. I maybe I'm oversimplifying it too, because you also have summers off.
Yeah.
You also have summers off. That's nice. That's
nice.
a huge
But
benefit.
teachers don't get paid during the summer.
Yeah, well, it depends. You can change your pay structure, but it's like it's gonna be what? I don't know what the average here in Grand Rapids, but 50, 55, 60, right?
Yeah.
And all right, we pay you over 12 months, and that just means you're getting a paycheck over the summer. It doesn't mean you're getting more.
Right.
So,
Right.
So so your point. I think it's arguably intentional, right?
Cool.
I think it's an interesting way to view it.
That's good. You mentioned resources, I guess, for from the administration,
Yeah.
like a school administration. And
Yeah.
how sometimes
Stereotypically pretty.
Yeah, and how sometimes they can be very disconnected from the actual classroom.
Yeah.
And that's a very common thing, you got principals, you got whatever the case is in the administration that are not in the classroom.
Yeah.
They have no idea what's going on. For example, the Board of Ed, like the State Board of Ed, they make choices on what teachers need to teach, but they're not in the classroom.
Potentially without any educational experience.
Correct.
Right? Maybe these are just business leaders, and that's the issue.
I think
yeah.
that's crazy. The Board of Ed, I think in Michigan, I could be wrong, I'm not too sure. I think only has one ex-teacher, which doesn't make sense because it's the Board of Education. They're the ones that are choosing basically what kids are taught, what teachers teach. Every major decision about education, you would think teachers would be making those decisions.
So again, we could view this as irrational, but what if you guys completely irrational, right? Why would it be beneficial? Who benefits from a board of education that's just simply politically minded? It's an interesting perspective.
I mean, either side of the spectrum, I guess, whatever side puts them there.
Yeah.
You know,
It's an interesting perspective.
They could go back and forth.
Yeah, because again, I think that our reality is way more interesting when you look at it as rational. When you say, why the heck are we doing this? Or why the heck is our nation doing that? When you start thinking, no, this is intentional. Why? It gets much more interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's deep. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, we talk about that. I talk a lot about that with my students. So.
Okay. That's good. No, that's good, bro. And it's a very, it's a very, very like real thing that all people going to education, people that are in school, like that's stuff that you're thinking about. Basically from the beginning, you're like, what am I? I've got all these people that aren't teachers telling me what to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the classroom when I was at Calvin, they told me that I would have control of my classroom. Now you have no control because you have to follow guidelines.
There's like standards.
The standards you gotta follow.
But I will say that it's interesting though because there's no real way to check that, right? They can mandate this, but you pointed out they're not really in the classroom, so they don't really know what the heck's going on. Nope. The only way they judge that is through standardized testing, which is also a huge issue.
I'm not gonna get into that.
Okay.
Next episode. Standardized testing should not be a thing.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw what I posted the other day.
I did. Okay.
I was like, all right, I guess I deserve to be a teacher now. Like, what's going on here?
You passed the
MTTC? Yeah.
How come if you're teaching in Florida?
It's the easiest way to do it. So I actually don't need a certification. You don't need certification generally to teach in most charter schools and most private schools. They have their own like types of certification. So the certification I had was a classical certification, but I just figured expand my horizons.
Might as well get it.
So yeah, and it's also really it was not easy in terms of the test. I thought the test was stupid.
Did you study a lot?
Not really. But I mean, I taught.
I hear people like study like hours, like 50, 60 hours.
I can tell you what to study for.
Okay.
Don't tell the Michigan.
Don't tell me now. Don't tell me now.
I mean, nothing specific, right? Just broad ideas.
I'm gonna have to do it. I mean, I'm gonna have to do it.
Yeah. But it was to answer your question, it was the easiest thing in terms of getting my certification because rather than submitting all this paperwork to the state of Florida, Calvin has my paperwork. So all I had to do was complete the test. Calvin gets it. Calvin sends it to the state government in Michigan. I get that from Michigan. I give that to Florida and say, hey, look, give me my certification. It was going to be the easiest way to do it.
Like that. That's good.
At least according to ChatGPT. So,
yo, that's another thing we talk about education. But
yeah, AI, big issue. You want to talk about that now? Because I had some thoughts on it.
We might come back to
it.
that.
Let's come back to it.
Or not.
I have a lot of thoughts about it.
Okay.
I think there's a very easy solution.
Tell us.
I'm gonna first give you a story. So at my work, because I think the solution for these two issues, the issue I'm about to talk about and the issue about AI, are the same.
Cool.
So, at my school, we had kind of like a field day. I was out there with a bunch of teachers, and this one teacher came to me and said, "Hey, I'm having a big issue." Right, to me and a friend. A big issue I'm having is that my students are just cheating all the time. Like I never catch them in the act of it. But I have students who I really respect who say there are several students in your class that are cheating and using their phones on these tests. And so she said, "What do I do?" Right? And she was mostly talking to my friend, but I was like, I tagged in because I want to hear what's going on. And so my friend was like, "Well, clamp down, right? Take their phones away at the beginning of class or stuff like that." And I said, okay, that's one way to view it, but you're still not addressing why are you cheating in the first place, right? And so you could say at a very surface level, it's not studying. Why are they not studying? They're not taking class seriously. Why? Okay, now we're getting interesting. Why are you not taking the class seriously? So I think the solution to cheating is similar to the solution with AI generally, is that students aren't there for themselves. They're not there in class to actually learn and to become a better human, right? Or learn skills that they really think are going to be valuable. They're there simply for a grade, right? They're there for that little letter or number, right? That comes at the end of any assignment that they're given, right? And that's why, and with grading, their perspective is, what's the least amount of work I can put in to get the highest result, right? Same thing with money. That's how people operate with money, right? So if you can alter the culture of your classroom to say, hey, we're not here for grades. We're here for becoming better humans, right? And agents of renewal, shout out Calvin.
Yeah, shout out.
That's when you solve that issue, right? And if you're able to successfully create this culture that says, hey, never use AI. If there's ever something that's serious and you just couldn't study for something or something like that, you're turning something in late, right? Just talk to me. We'll figure this out. So again, making it relational, but also making it you're here for yourself. You're here to become a better human being. You're not here for that stupid little number or letter. That's irrelevant. So Professor Borman, I don't know if you have him or have had him.
No, I don't.
He's shown me that it's possible, right? Because in his class he has no grades. He says you're here for yourself, and it was very powerful experience. And I have him actually for this master class though.
So
so
everybody wants to know. I want to know actually.
Okay.
Have you used ChatGPT
on assignments?
On assignment at Calvin.
Okay, at Calvin. Yes, I have. I have, right? And it was the same thing.
Don't be too specific.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be specific. No, I'll be specific. It was. I don't know if I can be specific.
Don't be specific. Don't be specific.
No, but I was actually very intentional when ChatGPT came out. I'm not even touching that website. But then
it can be bad, man. Like once you get start using it.
Yeah, exactly. Because you build that pathway in your brain that says this is a path of least resistance to a good letter. So I have used it, but I never used it for whole assignments. I'd use it as a grader. I'd give it an assignment and say, hey, what do you think about this? Are there areas I could do that are better? I never use it to write essays for me ever.
Yep.
I use it as giving me suggestions because I trusted it better than my roommate.
Yeah, no. So basically, I think AI is a very
and I think that's fair.
I think it's a tool.
As a tool.
I think it's a tool. Like what I would do is I would put the I basically have done it and I will continue to do it. Is and my students can too in the future.
Okay.
Like I would put the rubric that the teacher would give me into it, and then it would be like submit your paper, and then I would submit what I have written, and then it would grade me based on the teacher's rubric, and it would be like, do you want more suggestions? I'd be like, no, I'm okay. Like I the grade is good, and it's a tool just to know
exactly.
And if it's your final, like let's say you're turning in like a final paper and it's right before like the night before, and you're like, am I missing anything that's big?
Yeah,
it's like a second reader. Because they talk about bring it into the
and that is allowed in most of the Calvin classes. Like you can use it for spell checks. You just can't use it to actually write
stuff for you.
I think that's very reasonable.
It's good. It's good.
So that'd be my solution to AI is
getting rid of grades.
I think so.
Getting rid of grades.
I think
crazy.
So.
I don't know.
Or at least creating culture in the classroom that's not grade oriented.
I like grades, man.
You shouldn't.
I like
grades. You're your worst enemies.
I like giving grade.
You shouldn't. Yeah, because you can give feedback without there being
feedback's good too. Yeah, I do.
Because I think what you're saying right now is I like giving feedback. 100%.
Yeah.
That's critical to growth in students. But you can get feedback without having to give a grade.
Right. No, I like that.
I actually haven't done this though. I have not. I tried last semester to tell my students to stop worrying about grades, but it was fake. Because I was like, don't worry about grades, guys.
But you still had a grade.
Here's your grade at the end every week. So it's like, okay. So I'm gonna figure out. I'm looking forward to in this class actually, figuring out a professor and saying how do I actually do this and having that type of conversation.
That's good, man.
But it's a theory. It's a theory I have, and I think it will work.
Okay.
Oh, and sorry, one more thing. Schools are actually doing this.
Yeah.
So for this master's class I have, we visited a few schools. In one school, I'll shout it out, Bethel Community School, I think is what they call it, or Bethel Community Academy. One of those two. Their principal, Amy, excellent, right? And she has a school-wide ban on grades. It's not just classes can determine for themselves, but say, hey, we're not doing grading. You're gonna get feedback, you're gonna get all that, but there's not gonna be a grade attached to it.
Right.
So it is successful, and her school is amazing, Bethel Community. So
I like that.
So it's possible. It is possible.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens
moving forward. Do you think that would be one of the biggest challenges that you faced?
Is what?
In your first year, like the grading aspect, or what do you think? What is the greatest challenge?
Okay,
because this was your first year, right?
Yeah, I need to think about this more, but I'll give you off the top. I'm gonna give you something that Andrew. Do you know Andrew? He went to China. Yeah, he actually asked me a phenomenal question, and it challenged me.
Okay.
And so I need to think more about my biggest challenge my first year. But here's a challenge that was kind of put onto me by someone else. So I met with him when I was here for my brother's graduation. I don't know if you know, I was here for in May, I think.
I was still in Spain.
Shout out.
Shout out to Spain.
Yeah. Anyways, so I was here and I met with Andrew, went out to eat. And he asked this really phenomenal question. He said, "What are you doing to get your class involved in your community?" And I was like, wow.
That's deep.
That's a phenomenal question. And I think it's a essential question to consider as a class, at a school generally. The school typically actually sucks students out of a community, right? We're taking you out of this community. And you could argue it creates a community there. I'm fine with that. But students are not going to the parks, right? Students are not, doing community service projects. To the point where, to show you how bad things are, community service hours, they're a complete joke. Is how do we get this done? Rather than how can I serve my community? That's a fundamentally different perspective on the community as a whole, and it's reflective of
they use community service as like a punishment for people.
Yes, that's a huge point.
I feel like I don't think community service should be a punishment.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
After committing a crime, you tell me I gotta go help the community out?
Yeah, I don't know.
As a punishment?
I don't know. It shouldn't be a punishment, it should be opportunity, but I don't know, and I have to think more about what you're saying there.
Steve.
But I think that this issue of community service hours is indicative that schools don't see their mission as fundamentally community based, and I think it should be. That challenged me.
I think for me, my thing that I'm most. I don't think I'll struggle with like interacting kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'll struggle with like the actual teaching of the whatever I am teaching. I think my biggest struggle might be, and I don't see it as I don't think it's gonna be a struggle. I just think it's gonna be a biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Classroom management.
Okay.
How did you? And I asked this to like teachers, professors.
Yeah.
And none of them have an answer other than you just have to experience.
Yeah.
And then, like every time I ask, like I've asked Doyle, I've asked a bunch of different people, and they're like, there is no like answer for everything, so it's not written on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
In a book in a class. You just have to experience it in the classroom. Like, what do you think about that?
Okay, yeah. So I agree with you. I think that classroom management can be a big issue. And so I will say I don't think I handled classroom management perfectly this past year. Specifically because I think in high school, I think hopefully my students would say I did a pretty good job with that. And I had a student who told me, he was the student I punished the most, but he said I was very fair. I was like, I'll take that. Okay. I'll take that. But I had 7th graders as well. I had like basically half 7th graders, half 7th graders. And I felt pretty bad. Like, like it was just laying down the law. It was a test-based class. And so I knew it wasn't the right way to do things. But again, with the incentives that exist, I thought survive. And then I'll figure out a way to revolutionize this all. Right? So that's problematic. But I will say that I think that being super strict is not necessarily the solution. Right? I think the way you have to approach classroom management is to first understand why do people misbehave in the first place, right? And there could be several reasons. And I think Professor Leo, I don't know if you've had her, great.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Professor Leo, one of my favorite professors. She said, when students are acting bad in your class, before you start getting mad at them, think about yourself, examine yourself.
Like, why are they acting?
What did I do to make them mad here, right? Is my class really boring? That's real.
Could be.
Right? Am I not being fair? That's also real. So I think that perspective is really powerful. First of all, is saying, if students are misbehaving, what's going on here? Is it something that I'm doing? Is it something I can immediately control that's just my lessons are great? Because that's real.
Yeah.
And I think, therefore, with that perspective in mind, a solution to classroom management is creating engaging lessons. Creating lessons that are maybe not just grade-oriented, where it's, hey, don't worry about the grade. We're here for yourself. And when you think about it that way, why would students ever misbehave? Right? But there's some more reasons. It could be what's going on in the house, right? What's going on in your family, right? And so those are some bigger issues that you can't really solve. Can't really solve them. But I think that viewing it from a preventative perspective is maybe the most powerful, which is what can I do to prevent bad classroom actions from happening? I think being engaging, being interactive, and one more, relational. building strong relationships with your students. Those are the 3 best ways to prevent any bad classroom actions from happening.
Okay.
So, what do you think about that? Is that fair?
I mean, I think that's good. I think being preventative, like just being prepared for students to act out. Like you want to always think about, I don't know, how are my students gonna get bored?
Yeah.
Like I think if you're
and then just preventing it.
Yeah. If you're teaching something and you're bored yourself teaching it, your kids are gonna get bored.
Then why would you get mad at them?
Like don't get mad at them if you're teaching them, I don't know, what's something boring, like
English, the worst. No,
for me,
no, math, that's my biggest
For
hobby.
me, I hate math, bro. Math is horrible. Like, what is the point of math?
I am very impressed by math teachers who are able to make things interesting. Because I don't think it exists.
How can you make math fun?
I don't know. There's got to be a way, but I don't know how.
I've never seen it though.
I've never seen either.
Anyways, that was a little diss on.
Yeah. You need to release a diss track.
Diss track. Okay. So we're gonna go back to student teaching at Wyo.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Very, very formative.
So you taught there. You did your student teaching there.
I did.
For a semester.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I went there. I had Miss Nichols.
Shout out.
She was my freshman year.
9th grade world history.
Yeah, 9th grade world history. It was very interesting because my freshman year was COVID year.
Oh wow.
So we got cut in half when I was in her classroom. And she was my 6th hour. So my last freshman.
Oh, that's rough.
Like it was like a build up. You know, we were like, oh my gosh, the school gonna be done. And then I remember being in her class, and then the next day it was done.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
So talk about that. Talk about I guess your student teaching experience. The Wyoming culture. Miss Nichols a little. Just touch on stuff like that.
For sure. So again, I think that Wyoming was very formative for me because it taught me what education was really about. And I had professors that were telling me that stuff, 100%. It wasn't just like I had reached some form of enlightenment. That didn't happen. My professors were working on me with this idea that education is relationship-based, but I got to actually live that out at Wyoming, where I was like, yeah, I can't be talking about these complex things. I have students in my class who don't even necessarily speak English, right? And that's where I was... interesting.
One day.
Yeah.
2nd grade, couldn't speak any.
Interesting. And that's where I think that I was very well equipped for the job, in the sense that my Spanish it's still not perfect today, but less perfect back then. But I was able to understand culturally what was going on. And my broken Spanish got us through some lessons with some students. So to the point where I think a lot of my Spanish speaking students really appreciated me. Like they wrote me letters and stuff, like this thank you card at the end. And I was like, yes, that's good. I wanted to make sure that them specifically felt at home here. So yeah, just shaping me, helping me understand that education is relationship based was great. Also showing me firsthand, like, hey, there's things that go on at home and you just have no say on it, right? So just, again, that was pretty informative for me too, because when you see misbehavior or disassociated students they're just not there, right? In the sense that they're there, but they're just not paying attention to anything, right? And just thinking from a perspective of, this is a bad student, going from that, thinking, what's going on in the student's life, right? Because a lot of students there, we're suffering. We're going through some pretty serious things. Miss Nichols, I wouldn't have asked for any other student teacher mentor. Great person. And she really sold me on that idea. Because to me, she was a perfect embodiment of relationship-oriented education. This humanist education, you could argue, right? She was great at that, great at creating and cultivating these relationships with the students, to the point where students would regularly visit her after school, not just in this class, but from previous years, and say, come in, say hi. She always had a snack ready for them. And that, to me, I was like, that's phenomenal. So, you joked about this earlier. I remember you said like, hey, maybe one day we'll both be working there. I wouldn't be opposed to that. To me, that was probably one of the most, beneficial and, satisfying times where I'm like,
that'd be
this
so
is
cool,
what education's
bro.
all about.
Actually,
I would be open to it, honestly. The problem is, like, Michigan weather sucks. If I could teleport everything about Wyoming back home, then without hesitating.
No, I think that's really big. Miss Nichols, I remember.
Yeah. Talk to me about, like, because I'm getting the teacher perspective.
Yeah.
From a student perspective, what stood out to you about Miss Nichols?
Yeah, so I had her when I was obviously a freshman, COVID, all that stuff. So I only had her for like the first semester and then probably up until March. So it was a good, it was a good period of time.
Sure.
I remember there was a lot of, so I used to talk a lot. I mean, I still do, but it was a lot of, when I was younger, my issue as a student, and that's why I think I'm going to be such, I guess, an impactful teacher.
Yeah.
Is that I understand how to be a bad kid. And not a bad
kid mentality.
Right, not a bad kid as in, like, I never got into fights. I never did anything crazy like that. But, like, I blurted out. I did the simple stuff, right, that you would think. I blurted out, didn't raise my hand, talked a bunch to the people sitting next to me. But I always was smart. And so, like, I understood what was going on. But I didn't realize as a student that just because I get what's going on doesn't mean that everybody around me gets that.
Yeah.
100%. And from her point of view, she's just seeing Carlos talk to the person next to him constantly, nonstop. So I understand that. And I vividly remember that our class that year had so many people that were yappers. Like, we had many kids. I couldn't probably name them if you told me to name them, but I do vividly remember there was so many people in there that used to talk a lot.
Especially sixth period, you mentioned.
Yeah, and she would, there's a couple of times where she had to kick me out, or she had to kick out other kids because they were talking so much. Yeah. But then the next day they would come in and it's like nothing.
You have to
move on. You can't. I think the saddest thing is a teacher holding a grudge against a kid. I think, how can you, like, you can't hold a grudge against a kid. I mean, he throws a chair at a wall, like, okay.
Okay, well, that might do it. But you should, like, I think it's a good rule then that teachers shouldn't hold grudges. Yeah. And I think I had a student who talked to me about this one time, and I was like, but you do have to remember that the actions you give to me, I mean, we're gonna pretend like it didn't happen, but I'm gonna remember it did happen. No, it didn't. Right? So, I had a seventh grader who was like, why are you always targeting me? I'm like, I mean, it's not really almost every day you're acting bad. Like, it's like, well, other people do that. I'm like, okay, I understand that. Yeah. And I'll do my best. And again, relationship oriented, like, I'll do my best I want to always give you the benefit of the doubt. But you just have to, from my perspective, just understand that, like, almost every day now you're creating issues for me. And so I'm going to keep giving you the benefit of the doubt, but don't give me a reason to kind of, put you on the spot.
To put you on the spot, yeah. No, bro, that's so real.
Yeah. For sure.
Let's see.
For the Hussein.
All right, so we're getting to that time to be done. We've talked about so much, bro.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we could mention? I think we talked about a lot of good things. Oh, did you want to talk about Entrada?
Oh yeah, let's bring up Entrada. Yeah, that was the last thing. So explain Entrada. Explain what it was. Your experience with it.
And they're running into some issues actually.
For real?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Go ahead. Yeah.
So one of the big reasons I actually came to Calvin was because of was because of the Entrada program. Okay. So a scholarship, as you know, oriented 4,000 books. 4,000 books for a few weeks.
Still got it on.
Oh yeah, and it's always, that's important to remember. Concurrent. It's like, exactly. So I remember my parents were like, hey, you should do this. This would be a great opportunity. And I wasn't really so sure, but the more I thought about it, some prayer and stuff and reflecting on what the program was, I was like, this makes sense. Because it's putting you into the classroom. You're taking a 2 or 3 week class, pretty condensed, generally pretty fast paced. You're taking class and you're getting a really nice experience in the sense that it's almost like a social experiment. Like, they're throwing together around 60 students all together. They're living in the dorms, right? With resident assistants, of course, who are making sure things are hopefully fine. But you're living the college experience with limits, of course, but it's a good introduction to what college is going to be about.
Yeah.
Right? And there's some ways I think it doesn't do a good job of preparing you. Right? And let me talk about that. I think that you learn in Entrada that community just naturally happens. That friendships just naturally happen. But I think one thing to remember in college is that you have to be pretty intentional, right? About, reaching out and wanting to spend time. So I think that's one thing that you could do but it's just hard. It's just a stigmatization they have there. But hey, really formative experience. Like all the friends I made and all the people I met in Entrada, I'm still pretty cool with generally today. Like the friend group that I was kind of a part of in Entrada, I still have that friend group today. So pretty sick. Yeah. And then talk to me about yours, because I went to Entrada.
Yo.
I don't remember. I think did I come back the next year? I think I did. I don't remember. I think I might have taken a year off and then worked the next year. I think that's what it was. So because then I was a part of your Entrada. So I kind of talked about and reflected on like some of the reasons that I really appreciated Entrada, right? Whether that be the community aspect, the college readiness aspect of it, and the money aspect as well. What sticks out to you about your Entrada experience?
So for me, it was very interesting. It was obviously right after I graduated. I knew that I wasn't going to stay on campus throughout like my whole college experience at that point. So I knew that those like 3.5 weeks were my only time getting me in the dorms.
Oh, interesting.
So that was the only time that I've ever slept or been in or anything like that, experienced the college experience, so to say, was during Entrada.
Interesting.
So I feel it was very impactful, obviously. And it was the first time being away from my parents for so long.
Yeah.
Without being able to like see them and all that stuff.
What impact did that have on you then?
Well, it was good.
Yeah, because there are like guidelines.
Good. No,
right?
there's guidelines.
It's not like you're just completely out there in the wild.
Yeah.
Like, what was that movie, Maze Runners? Right, a bunch of kids just in the middle of that.
No, it was good. I enjoyed it. Obviously, remember I made some music with the boys.
Oh yeah,
we were cooking it up. I've got so much footage that like just recording of us singing and Alec and Jordan, my roommate.
Yes.
Shout out to Jordan, basketball player.
He's still there, yeah.
He's still there. He came back, basketball player, hooper for real. And yeah, it was really good. And I didn't know anybody, so I met everybody was brand new.
Yeah.
And that was very like different, obviously, because you're going straight from high school where you know everybody.
Yeah,
so all of a sudden you
spend all this time together with people. Because you were also there. Were you in Wyoming Junior?
Yeah. So
okay, so
I was at Wyoming since second grade.
Yeah, so the people that you're with in high school were people you really.
And that was that first experience where you're like, dang, I'm really off to college, and I don't know anybody.
It's legit, yeah. Way more real.
I think you talked about like the connections with people.
Yeah.
I built really good connections with people during that time. But I think not being on campus,
there's limitations.
Obviously, I wasn't there freshman year. All these years I just go to class.
Yeah.
And then I come home.
Yeah.
So
and that's where like to me the intentional aspect, right? Where it's like
having a concurrent, relationship with people. Like obviously if they see me or I see them.
Yeah.
Like Andrew filmed one of my music videos.
Oh yeah.
Freshman year. He filmed
I heard him, you gave him a few bands for that.
Yeah, I don't know what bands. Spent like $50 or something. But I see Jordan, he was my roommate. I see him around, he reaches out, I reach out, whatever. But I think one of my biggest regrets, I don't want to say regret, because I don't regret not being in debt, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, if it's debt or making a few extra friends.
But if I had to change one thing about my Calvin college experience, it would probably be to stay on campus.
Okay.
At least my freshman year, or at least the first semester, or at least something. I think I really enjoyed Entrada. I enjoyed being on, there. Although Spain, which we haven't even brought up, my experience in Spain, study abroad, really gave me what I was missing.
Yeah, because I got to hang out, live with, be with, all these other things.
If I hadn't done the Spain experience and I had just done my 4 years, whatever, I think I would have even regretted it more.
Yeah.
Than like now I feel okay.
Yeah.
Like now I feel good. I spent
you got it. Yeah.
4.5 months in a different country. I had my own, I lived with host parents and all that stuff. So that felt like the college experience per se. Or I guess one aspect of it.
Yeah.
But no, Entrada was good. Obviously money, good experiences, the talent show.
Good OA.
Yeah. Yep.
The best way.
All right. Sang at the talent show. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Were you one of the judges or something for?
No, I wasn't.
Oh.
Oh.
Were you a judge?
No, I wasn't.
Wow.
I was just there. I was the judge's supervisor, so.
Judges supervisor.
Yeah, to make sure
Okay.
those kids don't know what they're doing. So making sure they know what's up.
No, and I always, since that year, I wanted to try to be an RA.
You should. You actually should. It's like not a whole lot of pay, but the experience is good.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like last summer I was busy because I worked with like a summer camp.
Yeah.
With kids, did that. The year before that I was working 2 jobs. This summer I'm working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
So it's like experience, money.
Yeah, 100%. And because like it's in the middle.
Yeah, it's
of everything.
Yeah, it's not like it's the whole summer either.
It's because if it was in the very beginning, then it's like, okay, I can do that, then get another job.
Then I get a job. Yeah.
But I do agree that that's the reason that I haven't done it since. It just gets kind of sticky where it's like, all right,
because like if you get a job at the beginning, then you have to be like, I'm gonna be gone for a month,
and like I don't think that I think it makes sense from perspective of, hey, we're trying to get college students to be ready.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't know if it works so well for the staff members. Now, something that's kind of, sad to hear, I guess, a little bit about the program is I heard they had some budget cuts recently. That some donors have kind of been stepping back. The minority, because it's not just a minority program anymore either.
It's not. See, that was something that.
I don't know how you thought about that. Kind of action.
Well, here's the thing. I actually had a discussion in Spain with some of the people in the group.
Yeah.
Where they brought up Entrada. And it was somebody who was white.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember who it was now at this point, but they were like, "Oh, Entrada is not minority only." I'm like, "Yes, it is.
That's literally what it is.
That's what it is.
Giving minorities that opportunity."
I was like, I don't know if that's the thing, but when I went there, it was only minority people, and she was like, "No, my dad works or something like that, or at school."
Oh, is that to it?
No.
Okay.
No. Somebody said somebody's parents had a connection or something.
Regardless,
and then she texted her dad and she was like, "Yeah, it used to be like this." And then she's like, "Oh, there you go, Carlos."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm telling you." But I didn't know that now it's open.
I don't know how I feel about that because, I think you can get into this.
Why does not everybody that go to Calvin apply for Entrada then?
Everyone will apply to Entrada.
So is this the first year?
I don't actually know. I'm just guessing. I don't know the limitations.
This is a free 4K.
But
I don't know why.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, it just gets tricky because I think that the reason they had Entrada was, hey, we're trying to give minorities the opportunity to graduate debt-free, basically, right? Give them these scholarship opportunities, a little extra kick. But then you can make the argument: is that reverse racism? I don't know. And again, some of the sociology professors I know would say reverse racism isn't a thing. But I know as a Cuban, you definitely know that.
Yeah. No, I honestly, it's free money. That's why I did it. Like I didn't really do it more so like for the experience. I was just doing it because it was money. You know, if there was no money involved, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. I think that
it's a good experience. I get it.
For 4 weeks.
Yes, it's a good experience.
Yeah.
But I went into it. Maybe a change of the course. Obviously, made friends, all that.
Yeah, sure. Because I think everyone that does it is like, I'm doing it for the money.
Yeah.
But then over time, like, oh wait, but there's this really nice, vibrant community that kind of flows out of this, right? At
the beginning, if they were like, okay, you have to be there for 4 months doing all this stuff, and in the end, you just get nothing. It
would be a little like, I guess free college credits, but still, I can get where you're coming from with that. But
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to see.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. Right. I just think that if you're going to rebrand or create another option, say, hey, we're going to do another college program opportunity for just the broader general public, completely fine. But
then you
start
talk about
transforming Entrada. Okay, but now are you saying that we're not going to be giving? What else are you going to do? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're going to take away from the minorities that exist, who many of whom are struggling socioeconomically, then how are you going to make that back? Because if there's a way, if there's other scholarships that they're going to put forth to account for this change, to account for this gap now, totally fine.
I just hope they don't mess with my money.
Yeah, I don't think they. Yeah,
they're not touching my money.
It is a significant amount of money, right? Because think about it: 60 students, 4,000 each, 60 students year after year after year, and it's getting bigger and bigger, right? I don't know. But I think that's pretty unfortunate. So
Man, well, I don't know. That is a tough one. But yeah, is there anything else that you wanna?
I think we talked about. Yeah, I think it's pretty successful. We talked about education.
Yeah.
Here's a question I guess we could talk about. Like the one last thing is, you're gonna eventually have education. I think the number is 359. Is the philosophy education, the capstone class.
Yeah, it's coming up this semester.
This semester.
This semester.
Who's your teacher or professor for that? Is that Borimo as well, or is it someone else?
Could be.
Okay. Because I want to ask preliminarily. That's a word. What do you believe to be the purpose of education? I think it's a good way to maybe end it off.
What's yours?
Okay, mine first. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my okay, what's the purpose of education? I'd say it's very similar to the motto of Calvin, right? I think it's maybe I'm indoctrinated, but I also agree. Like I do think that education exists to make better humans, right? And from a Christian perspective, better followers of Christ, right? But not just better humans just so that you can be better humans and get better jobs. Better humans to interact in their world to bring transformation, right? To be the change you want to see in the world. That's fundamentally the purpose of education. And I think that that's not actually applied in practice. I think that fundamentally the purpose of education in reality is quite different from that. So therefore it becomes the job of us as, these teachers, aspiring teacher, to implement that. Say, no. I don't care what the broader system says about creating good citizens, whatever that means, or good workers, right, Rockefeller. But no, we're going to create people who are good humans who are going to make our world better. That's what education's about. And so I thought it was pretty successful. With that. I mean, I think my students would largely agree with that, especially my high schoolers. I thought I was able to apply that pretty well. So obviously there's ways to get do better. But so yeah, what do you think?
This is gonna be tough to follow that one up. I should have gone first.
No, you haven't taken the class that teaches you, because the whole purpose of that class is to give you a reason.
Yeah, to give you a reason. Okay.
You're the whole time there is, what is the purpose of education?
Yeah.
It's giving you several different perspectives.
So. I think for me, education is a tool. I think it's a tool to. Now I'm gonna take a spin on what you said.
Oh.
So I think education's a tool to make better humans.
Yes.
Right. Not better workers. Not better whatever.
That's a byproduct.
Yeah. Obviously, making people, and I mean, I guess, and then you're like, okay, what's a better human? Okay.
That's just good.
But human connection we discussed earlier is a big thing.
Yeah, relationships.
I think
community,
relationship building, community connections, staying grounded to like who you are.
Yeah, and I think just general morality, right? Like, hey, differentiating right from wrong.
Yeah.
Like, who do I want to be, right? Based on the people around me, based on my personal beliefs.
And it's very interesting because me looking back on like, obviously I'm not gonna name drop, but people who were like really, really, really bad in high school.
Yeah.
Some teachers reached out, of course.
Yeah.
But then maybe there was disconnect with others, and those bad people that were in high school continued that path forward.
Interesting.
And so I think
it failed to be transformative.
It failed to be transformative for some people.
But it should be.
And it should be transformative. And I've always felt, like for example, last summer when I did the summer camp.
Yeah.
It was crazy because I connected with the troublemakers more than with the kids who were quiet.
Yeah.
Because that's who I was.
Yeah.
Right? I was that loud,
you can
annoying
relate
kid.
at a deep level.
And I can relate with that kid, and I had some deep conversations with fourth graders and third graders, and I remember literally having a conversation with one of the worst kids according to the other counselors that didn't want to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Oh, Carlos, you're gonna hate this kid." Blah, blah. And at one point, it got bad.
Yeah.
And so I sat him down. And I'm like, "Hey, bud, like, I used to be like you, dude. I used to be like you. I used to talk at a turn. I used to not raise my hand.
Yeah.
I used to, kick people jokingly. I used to push people jokingly. I was trying to associate with them, like, what little kids do when they're messing around. And I remember him say, he was like, no, you weren't. No, you weren't. There's no way you were like that. There's no way you were like that. And I'm like, yes, that's how it was. I was just like you. And I'm telling you that you just have to push through. Like, just listen, you know, be a little bit more calmer, you know, move, like, have fun at the same time.
Yeah.
But you will get better. Like, he's like, because...
But it has to be conscious.
Right, I know.
I think it does have
because he told me, I remember when I had this conversation, he was like, no, it won't get better for me. I'm a bad kid. That's just...
Yeah, look, he already internalized.
And, like, he already internalized because there's so many people around him that are getting him in trouble constantly, telling him that he's bad. His parents, whatever, weren't helping. And he just realized that, you know, fourth grade going into fifth grade, that he's a bad
now
kid.
that's becomes...
Now he's good.
Now, exactly, that becomes identity, in a sense. That in any class he's going to be in, he's thinking in the
well,
back
now he's going...
I am the bad kid.
He's going now into sixth grade.
Okay.
So I wonder how he's doing.
Yeah.
I wonder how he's doing.
Yeah. And that's where, again, the job of the teachers, or at a bigger level, the job of administration, the system as a whole, should be to say, no, you're not a bad kid.
Yeah.
Right? You are a kid, just generally.
You're a kid, you make mistakes.
Your choice, right? And giving students the options to make those choices. Because you can argue that there are, for example, boring lessons, that kind of pushes students to be bad. You can't be mad at a student, like we talked about, for being antsy, especially when you're just lecturing for 50 minutes, right? So I think...
I mean, it was a summer camp, and it was...
Yeah, so the fact that he's struggling there... I mean, what were you guys doing that he was...
Like...
Just anything? Or
I mean,
like,
it would be like...
activities that were boring?
Yeah, because we had like an engineering like class, and so there was like relationship building class. And the only time that he would be chill is when we were in the gym playing basketball or doing sports, because he's a sporty kid and he likes doing that. But it's summer, you know, so like...
So it's understandable.
It's understandable.
It's like, what are we doing here that we're putting students back in a classroom and, all right, here's this stuff, follow the directions. Like, hey, like, can't we let these people live to an extent? Right, so, again, sometimes you could argue that there's other factors.
And I also... that situation last summer, like, taught me a lot, because there was other kids that were like that. And it taught me a lot of that, like, classroom management aspect.
And did you notice that students acted poorly for different reasons?
Yes.
So that kind of shows you that that's why there isn't necessarily this is what classroom management should look like. It's differential. You have to adapt to the circumstances of the students.
Yeah, and also I guess with that is some would like one day be like super good, and then the next day or with another teacher, they'd be like super bad.
Yeah,
it differentiated huge amounts.
Yeah. And I had a professor to talk to me about that the other day. He said that Professor Walcott, he's retiring, so shout out. I was the last student to get him a Calvin. So, but anyways, Professor Walcott, who was the former head of the department, he was talking to me about that. And he said that I would have situations where I was teaching a kid, and the kid would be really good one day, and the next day he would just, all the way down, really, really disruptive. And he said that he had this internal block in which he thought to himself, man, why can't you just be good for me? Right? But then he said he reflected on this attitude that he had, and he realized that no, you're not looking at how much work the student is putting in to be good that one day.
Yeah.
So instead of thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, he slipped, think no, but he was climbing up. Right? So I think that perspective is important as well, and which some students have different learning needs, right? And so trying to meet them where they're at and say, hey, I know that learning in this manner might be more difficult for you. I'm here to accommodate you, right? And I understand that we're going to have ups and downs, but we're going to focus on our general trajectory of going up.
Yeah.
So I think that was interesting to your point there, where it's like, yeah, sometimes even the best kids sometimes have bad days, but recognizing, instead of being upset about that and focusing on that, think about the times they were good. Right, so always kind of like a humanist education, like giving them the benefit of the doubt always, and trying to be there for them.
That's good, man.
But yeah, I think that was like a great conversation. I don't think there's anything else that we talk about, but Calvin, teaching,
summed it all.
We didn't really talk about history, but maybe that gets a little too political. I'm not trying to get canceled. So,
all right, so I want you right now, Caleb, tell people out there. Okay, I want you to look at the camera. Tell them, people that graduated from Wyoming, they got to come on the podcast, bro. I need some more guest hosts, man.
I think...
Tell them.
Before we talk to them, I think we should talk to you.
Okay.
I think that you need to be more clear about what it is you're looking to get out of this podcast.
Well,
right? Like, I mean... Talk to them why. What are... Not just, like... I'm not saying money. Give them money so they can... No. Right? But, like, how selling them on a bigger idea that, hey, we want to try and make the Wyoming community better, and so we want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so
Boom. That people love to talk, right? So you give them the opportunity to talk about problems and how they would want to overcome it from the first-hand experience, then you might get buy on.
Yeah, and that's what I've been I pushed on that on the second episode, which has almost been a month ago. I haven't recorded in a minute, but
Exactly.
I pushed on it. I said, I don't want it to be overly political. We didn't really talk about anything political. It's just gonna be a conversation, basically, like we had right now, about what I just want the community to come together. Obviously, I love the Wyoming community. I love Wyoming public schools. I'm a fanboy, I guess. Of the sorts.
Yeah. Hey, maybe you should get some teachers on too.
That would be epic.
Like ask Miss Nichols or something.
I don't know if they'd come, here to my house, but I could meet them at the school or something. I might actually do that. They could give me tips for education. But yeah, just anybody who wants to come out. I guess not even people that graduated with me. Just gonna open it up to any people from Wyoming. Some have reached out, but gotta find the time and all that stuff. But yeah, obviously, let me know what you guys want to talk about. I can come up with some questions, figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to bring the community together, to learn from your guys' experiences, figure stuff out, have a convo, drink some coffee. We actually don't have. We have this. My goodness, we have this for the coffee. He's got the water, but there's really no coffee in there.
I'm mixing my Cuban cafecito.
Yeah, we'll have some upstairs here in a second. But yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
He's going back to Florida. When do you go back to Florida?
The 11th.
The 11th.
And then I go straight to Dominican Republic. Listen to this turnaround.
Take me with you.
I'm getting back the 11th at night, and then Sunday. So 11th is a Saturday. Then the next day in the afternoon, boom.
How long are you going to be there?
Going for 10 days with my grandparents and my brother. Yeah.
That's so nice.
But
yeah, hopefully next time you're in Michigan.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll be back here more often because of my master's. So.
Okay, we'll get you on the podcast. So thank you, bro.
All right, of course, thank you.
And yeah, this is Los World from Cafecito signing out, and that's my boy Caleb. All right.